Hi, how are you? My name's Antonio Innocent Mdongi. I am your full-time poultry plug. And if you are new to our YouTube channel, guys, kindly hit the subscribe button. Subscribe, and subscribe. Like and share as much as you can. Wow, today I got some very good news for you. Kindly get to our website and you'll discover that I'm offering you the master classes at half price just for a period of 1 week. From there, the prices will get back to normal. This is because most of you wrote me inboxes and said you've launched the master classes, you've even not given us something that we can enjoy as your ardent followers over the years. Now I've got you covered. This discussion on why you should never keep kienyeji birds, I had it even today morning with a couple of friends in an office somewhere. And a lady somewhere had said she had just ordered her 50 birds, kienyeji. And then someone replied and said, no, that venture is not profitable, neither viable. So I was asked for my opinion. And now this is my opinion. Honestly, kienyeji farming, kienyeji refers to the improved African indigenous birds. The croilers, the noilers, the calro, the red brows, all that to mention. The reason why AIM Agriculture can never keep those birds is because I started with those birds. If you watch my first video on my YouTube channel when I was being interviewed, the number of times I was featured in the national newspaper, I was being featured as a kienyeji chicken farmer. But look behind me today, I'm no longer in that business. I'm keeping the commercial brown layers. A kienyeji bird feeds the same amount of feed with a layers bird. But a kienyeji bird produces a small amount of eggs than a commercial layer bird. This bird here will start laying between week 16 and week 18, and then its laying trajectory will be very steep up to week 36. But the kienyeji bird will start laying at about week 36 or even week 52. When this bird here has reached the climax of production, it wants now to start decreasing. That is when a kienyeji bird will start laying. But given the same conditions, the same environment, the same labor, the same thing, their feed intake is at par. In fact, to some extent, a kienyeji bird might feed even more. Or an improved kienyeji bird might feed more. So, if you are spending the same amount of money in feeds, you are investing the same amount of money in the structures, because the scientific requirements of a kienyeji bird are the same scientific requirements to a commercial layer bird or to a broiler bird. But if you're keeping this bird for meat, 6 weeks, your broiler bird is ready for the market. A broiler bird will fetch you about 400 shillings or 500 shillings, half the price of the kienyeji bird. But by the time a kienyeji bird matures and it's ready for the market, a broiler farmer would have done production 3 or 4 times. That is if you're comparing kienyeji with broilers. So in terms of egg production, egg count, percentage hen day, cumulative egg production, in terms of weight gain, looking at broilers, the weight gain per session, per certain amount of time, per certain duration, the feed conversion ratio, the FCR, you cannot compare broiler farming and kienyeji farming. Neither can you compare broiler farming to layers farming. Now, let's look at the hatcheries producing kienyeji birds. These hatcheries are very few. Most of the farming or most of the producers of the kienyeji birds, and for God's sake, I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, are cottage hatcheries. I had one. The mother and the father to the chicks are brother and sister. Look at that inbreeding. So when you are bringing the birds to your farm, what is the concentration of the desirable characteristics? For instance, the birds that sired these chicks had a poor resistance to Newcastle disease. What are the likelihoods that you're going to lose your bird entirely to Newcastle disease? What is the resistance level of these birds? If you had any negative trait in the parents, it's even more concentrated, or times 2 or 3 in the chicks. So the other reason why I would never keep kienyeji birds is because of the source of the day-old chicks. A kienyeji farmer and mortality are one thing altogether. A kienyeji farmer, when you tell a kienyeji farmer like, look, I've brooded these birds, they are now almost laying, I've not lost any bird, they'll be like, no, you're lying, that's not possible. Yes, it's not possible simply because you are keeping kienyeji improved birds, or you're keeping kienyeji birds whose source is not elaborate, whose source does not guarantee you that you'll get F1 chicks, first generation chicks. When you're going for a first generation chick, then it means that the desirable characteristics are above 95%. When it comes to resistance to diseases, response of the birds to any stimuli, you cannot compare the kienyeji birds with the commercial layers. Now, let's look at it from the business perspective. Someone will argue out and say, but look, the feed that the kienyeji birds feed is not the same feed like the commercial layers feed. The kienyeji birds feed on kienyeji mash, and the commercial layers feed on commercial layer mash. The commercial layer mash is expensive, and the kienyeji layer mash is cheaper. The difference is about 1 shilling or 2 shillings per kilo. That is in the cost. But the difference in output is about 30 to 40 eggs. Let me just say 40 to 50 eggs in 2 months. Now, when you talk about egg production or discuss egg curve in commercial layers, the commercial layers will produce continuously without getting broody. When I was giving you a test of the masterclass, I was discussing on how you can maximize egg production and how you can make your birds egg machines. I discussed the 6 important hormones that determine egg production in farming. And the last hormone I discussed is the most prevalent or the most common hormone in kienyeji improved birds. So it simply means that once this bird gives us 60 eggs, then it goes broody. Broody means it wants to sit on the eggs, it wants to incubate the eggs. And that time it is sitting on the eggs, it simply means there is no production. Now, we are buying chicken. They are coming on the farm. We have a reason why we are buying those birds. The purpose of those birds, they are either for eggs, they are either for meat. But now for a kienyeji farmer, he or she will say, I want to keep my birds, but for production of fertile eggs, which I will sell as fertile eggs. Are you doing yourself any favor, or are you doing your consumer, who is the buyer of your fertile eggs, a favor when you sell to him your fertile eggs? Why am I saying so? When you buy these birds like they came here, these are all sisters to each other. And if they're kienyeji, they will be brother and sister. Tell me one farm, or show me one farm, that will say, when we got these chicks as day old, we got them as brother and sister, and therefore when they are able now to differentiate the cocks and the hens, they will separate the cocks, like remove all the cocks from that flock, and sell to another farm far away, a different breed, and bring that cocks from that other farm far away to their farm. The moment you are not separating those cocks and introduce, remember, even if you say you're going to remove cocks from this farm, which you're having rainbow rooster kienyeji, and take to farm X, exchange with cocks from farm X, but the source of the day-old chicks from farm X and farm Y are the same. Those ones are also rainbow roosters. Yours are also rainbow roosters. The only difference is your farm is in town, the other farm is in the village, or your farm is in Nairobi, the other farm is in Eldoret. But the breed is the same. The parents are the same. You would argue out and say, I'm going to take cocks from my farm having rainbow roosters and take them to farmer Y in Uganda, Kampala, who is keeping broilers. Then I take the broiler cocks and bring them to my farm. And that means that if I'm going to hatch my day-old chicks, they are not going to be called rainbow roosters. They will be called crosses or kienyeji crosses. Look at that hassle. Look at that entire hassle. Who wants to, or who is ready to go through it? Nobody. So if these farmers are not ready to go through that hassle of doing the crossbreeds, then it simply means that those people buying those fertile eggs and hatching them and selling out as chicks, or those people buying those kienyeji chicks, are not getting the quality chicks. So there's no reason of me doing kienyeji farming when I'm buying chicks that are not good quality. In farming, the conversation about kienyeji farming is getting even nicer and nicer. I don't discourage you from keeping kienyeji. It takes us back again to where the conversation started. Why are you keeping these birds? What are you keeping them for? Most people will prefer keeping kienyeji for a market. Most of us, to be real, you will keep kienyeji birds for Christmas. Or you're targeting the December season, which is more of a festive season. Everybody wants to party, enjoy, have good chicken and all that. It means this is a seasonal business and it's not a full-time business. If you're keeping birds for December, these birds are going to be brought in at about June, July. Then they'll be feeding, just be disposed in December. The maximum you can dispose a cock is 1,000 shillings. The maximum you can dispose a hen is 800 shillings. And it's not given, it's not guaranteed. But you'll get a direct market for the 1,000 birds you're keeping. It's just a risk you're taking. Should you miss to get that market for December, the festive seasons are finished. You are remaining with the birds. Then you'll have to dispose them at a throwaway price. That's why breaking even as a kienyeji farmer is very difficult. Although people break even, but for a farmer to break even as a kienyeji farmer, it becomes very challenging. These birds will lay, they will get to menopause, then they will be sold off as egg layers. The demand for egg layers is extremely high, and the bird will fetch 600 to 700 shillings each. So if we have 1,000 birds here in this flock house, then you're talking about 700,000 birds, and we'll have collected the profits of eggs from it. Now, in conclusion, I'm not despising kienyeji chicken farming, but kienyeji chicken farming would only be profitable if it is practiced in the free range. In the free range means the cost of feed is extremely low, almost zero. You are just supplementing these birds. So when you bring in your birds, you just have to brood them, set them free, let them fend for themselves. That way, even when you take these birds to the market, they'll be regarded as pure kienyeji. The taste of their meat, the tenderness or the toughness of their bones will determine them as kienyeji birds. You could fetch slightly more than that. And it's even cost friendlier to you because you have not spent much in them in terms of feeding. But this thing whereby we say that you are hatching day-old chicks from kienyeji eggs, which are inbred, you're not doing yourself a favor. Neither are you doing a favor to the buyer of the day-old chicks. That is my opinion. That is my opinion as AIM Agriculture. And like I said at the start of this episode, I don't intend to annoy anybody, and I don't intend to rub shoulders with anybody. I'm just using this platform to give my honest opinion. Who loves you more than AIM Agriculture does? See you on our website. Let's enjoy our masterclasses.